Justice should not only be done, but seen to be done. And if it's not seen to be done, then it's not justice. Because secrecy invites corruption. And I'm afraid that's what's happened in the family courts today. And the media the mainstream media is pumping out stories. It had a ridiculous story the other day of a boy that was adopted from birth, holding a sign saying adoption is natural. Okay, we all know he was adopted as a small baby, and he was fortunate enough to find carers that looked after him well, and he's happy now. Of course it's natural for him, but most of the children forced into adoption, if you ask them and say, look, we're going to take you away, you've got the choice, we're going to take you away. Now all these policemen and that woman over there with the ball, they've got a document saying that you're in danger. Now, are you in danger? Do you want to be taken into care, or do you want to remain with your parents? Look, 99% of children are going to say, I want to stay at home, I want to stay with my dad and mum. As I said, if you ask most children whether they want to be taken into care, they'll say no. So what we have is a small minority of children will get amazing amounts of publicity, and everyone gets the impression there's lots of children, all the children being taken into care are abused. They're not. They're very rarely abused. What happens is that the motivation for most things in life is money. And I'm a journalist, and I investigated this child care racket, and that's what it's become, a child care racket. Because Tony Blair, what happened is this. Tony Blair introduced a quota for taking people into care, taking children into care. He said, and he awarded these local councils millions in taxpayers' money to keep those children in care. And it became a big racket because the SS, social services, the SS benefited financially by the more children they took into care. So they were looking for children, so what did they do? They picked on impoverished children first, and they started, well, they always are impoverished. Most of the children are impoverished because so they can't afford to be legally representative. They have to have legal aid. They don't ever expect, I've talked to people who are obviously good mothers, and the whole case against them is been made by an anonymous informer. Looking for the motive for why people do things, one looks at money, and one usually comes up with the answer. And what's happened is when Tony Blair set those quotas, he also rewarded councils. The more children they took into care, the more money they got. This was the target set by the war criminal, Tony Blair. And red in tooth and claw, the blood of many thousands of children may I add. So he's no protector of children. Right, this was a big money-making racket. And all the people involved in it, all the ones that hated what they were doing left. So this left a certain hardcore of people who then attracted more people to their own. They set up their own companies and employed these so-called experts to give false evidence in the family court. And they can get away with it because it's all in secret. And everybody's earning lots and lots of money out of it. All the solicitors, all the barristers, all the judges. The legal situation is completely turning on its head in a secret court. None of the evidence needs to be proved. It just has to be allegations from the SS. All it has to be is allegations from the SS. They don't have to prove their evidence. They just call one of their so-called experts who gets paid by them, through a company, or maybe paid by someone else. But these fees they get, they're in thousands of pounds mostly. So of course people want to find the victims, the mother, guilty of not being able to look after her own children. Her children needs to be taken into care. Because some so-called experts gets up and makes a report about the child who he doesn't even know, who he's asking to go back to his mother and mum and dad. He's pleading to go back there. Little girls, little boys. But all that's ignored, and only 0.5% of cases is decided in favour of the parents who ask for their children back. 0.5%. My mother said to me, social services told me you've already been found guilty, the judge has already decided your fate, and that is true, because they could say that. If only 0.5% of people get their children back. They cannot say that because they're 99 point something percent of being right there. They will lose their children. The court will find against them by distortion of what they've said, written down rather in these notebooks, not recorded. And I mean, all this sort of secrecy and spying, and I mean, a nation now, that Britain, is being criticised by Europe, by a lot of countries now, for spying on everyone. They've got this obsession with spying. Now they're getting children. When they put a child in care, what happens to it? What happens to that child in care? Do they look after it? No. 60% of prostitutes have been in care. That's a fact. They're in Holloway now, locked up because they were in care. Lots of runaways find their way into the child prostitution business. It's all a racket. It produces prostitutes, more prostitutes. All those homes, those care homes, they're the source of the children that were abused in this elite paedophile situation. There's a connection there. Jimmy Savile used to go to these homes. There was bodies found in Jersey of children, legs, bones sawn through. I mean, no one's been charged. There's bodies there, look, bodies, people, children's bodies. But no one's been charged. Why? Why? Because the people up above, they're the ones that control the government in England. These elite paedophiles are in the highest places of the land, judges. If we look at this Elms guest house where all these boys were abused, 8-year-old boys used in flagellation orgies and buggery against their wills, raped, all these young, little boys, right? Judges were going there, solicitors were going there, policemen were going there. They were all going there and engaged in abusing these boys. There's a conspiracy from high. Look, people, the other day, 3 days ago, a man made a whistleblower, a person that was a childcare officer. He said they threatened him, they held a gun to his head, right? They intimidated him, you know, they gave him the impression that he'd be murdered if he told the truth about these elite paedophiles. He said, no big names, no big names. I mean, this guy put it up on YouTube. I mean, he wasn't prosecuted, and he wants to tell the truth. So why isn't all the people he's naming now, he's willing to name them, he's got the names, what are they going to do, kill him? Are they going to kill this whistleblower to silence him? No. He's got all the names, he's willing to give evidence against all those elite paedophiles. We know who they are. Everyone knows who they are on the net. Anyone who investigates this sort of people, these lords' names and these judges' names, they come up consistently, the same names. So therefore, we have beyond reasonable doubt that the police know the people, they know who these elite paedophiles are, yet they take no action. Why? Because the whole childcare racket, to which Tony Blair initiated, supplies children to the very people that invent the laws. Do you see the connection? Paedophilia, childcare, they're the real perverts. And they have no pity. They pick on people, vulnerable people, who have been thrown out of their houses. Maybe they're involved in getting those people evicted. There's an enormous rate of people who have been evicted and then charged under the childcare laws for not paying their rent or whatever they were evicted for. Because as soon as you're a party in a case, say a mother who's accused of abusing her children, right, they will evict you from your flat because you haven't got any children now. So if you're a council member, then you'll lose your flat. Do you get it? And the council are the people, the same people who are making the care order in the first place. They're saying your children are in danger. We have to take them into care. So what I said to you, they're all earning enormous sums of money. So what they're looking for, the police now have a special unit in Scotland Yard called the Child Protection Unit in an Orwellian manner. Child protection. What they do, when the SS, what happens to the SS? An anonymous informer makes a complaint, or someone else makes a complaint. Right? It goes to the local council, or it goes to the police or the NSPCC, who are also involved in the childcare racket. Yeah, it goes to them, and they send a squad of police officers to a person's house. What do? They go rushing there, they seize their computers. Now, if those people are even looking at any pornography, they're going to be guilty. Did you look at schoolgirl mums teaching teens the other week? It's here in your history. Of course he's going to say. He's got this a bit. He's going to go, yeah. Now, that's enough evidence to take your child. If you smoke a bit of pot, that's enough evidence. If your son of 18 or 19 has got a 14-year-old girlfriend, right, and having sex, that's another reason why your children will be taken into care. Your younger children. And when you're pregnant again with another one, they'll be there at your bedside, ready to take the newborn child. These people are greedy criminals. We need to get the criminal law, to get these cases tried under criminal law, because in a criminal court of law, they have to obey the evidence. There's no such thing as being convicted under circumstantial evidence by anonymous informers. The case wouldn't even start. There's no evidence. And I say to you that unless you have fair justice in public, where it can be seen to be done, corruption will ensue. And this has become a big racket now. It's got to be stopped. There's no one in Parliament except John Hemmings. He's the only one who's said anything about it. Everyone else is keeping stum. The newspaper continuously printing propaganda about how good it is for children to be taken to care. Of course it's not good for children. Of course it's not good. The child wants to be with his natural parents. As I said, over 99% of them want to stay with and remain with the parents, so they're forcibly removed. And if you try to stop them, they will use force. There's 8 police officers maybe, from the unit with big uniforms on and straps and belts and all the rest of the stuff, the radios blaring. Anyway, it's terrifying for children. Then the big policeman picks them up and carries them out screaming, mate. And the mother's sitting there in tears, screaming, "Don't take my children!" They are the criminals. Everyone knows now that this injustice is continuing. It's on the internet now, and people are complaining against it. But what I want to know is, what are the other court doing down the road? What are they thinking in the Central Criminal Court, in the Old Bailey? What are they all talking about down there? Everyone knows about this corruption in the family court. So what are they going to do? There should be a few prosecutions here, because this is crime. These people are criminals. They're giving false evidence. So what are they going to do? I suggest that they suspend the family courts and try all these cases in the criminal courts under proper rules. But the CPS won't prosecute most of the cases, because 99% of those cases could not be brought because there's no evidence.
Hello. Before, my dad said to me that he's seen the whole sky with birds, really black, and he couldn't see any of the clouds. And there's something really funny, hilarious. A big pile of birds came flying over while we was eating breakfast, and one pooed on my dad's plate. And he said to my mum, "I'm not going to eat this for breakfast."
Here are all of those. Shit. Oh, shit. 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 Fuck. 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 Yes, I am. Shit. Fuck. They're gone. Whoa. They're right over me. I'm just there. So many. What an amazing experience. there. Little more.